The Spanish Civil War, 1936-1939, was a brutal conflict that erupted in Spain between the democratically elected Second Spanish Republic and a fascist military rebellion led by General Francisco Franco, often regarded as a prelude to World War II. The war involved ideological, political, and social struggles that would foreshadow the global conflict between fascism and democracy in the years to come. The war resulted in the overthrow of the Republic, the establishment of Franco's dictatorship, and the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Spaniards. The roots of the Spanish Civil War lie in deep-seated political, social, and economic divisions within Spain. By the early 20th century, Spain was a country in turmoil. It had lost its colonial empire, experienced economic instability, and was deeply divided along class lines. The Spanish monarchy had long struggled to maintain control over a rapidly modernizing society, while tensions between landowners, the working class, and rural peasants grew increasingly intense. In 1931, the monarchy of King Alfonso XIII was overthrown, and the Second Spanish Republic was established. This new government introduced progressive reforms, including land redistribution, labor rights, and secularization efforts that sought to diminish the influence of the Catholic Church. However, these reforms alienated conservative and traditional elements in Spanish society, particularly the aristocracy, the military, and the clergy. Spain's political landscape became more polarized. On the left, communists, socialists, and anarchists pushed for more radical reforms, while on the right, monarchists, fascists, and conservative Catholics opposed the Republic's reforms. The country was increasingly divided between these two factions, and in 1936, the left-leaning Popular Front, a coalition of socialist and communist parties, won a narrow victory in the national elections. Fearing the radical policies of the Popular Front government, Spain's conservative factions, including the military, began plotting a coup. On July 17, 1936, the Spanish Civil War officially began when a group of army officers, led by General Francisco Franco, launched a rebellion against the Republic. What started as a military coup quickly escalated into a full-scale civil war. The Nationalists. This group was composed of conservative elements, including monarchists, fascists, the Catholic Church, and parts of the military. The Nationalists were led by General Francisco Franco, who would become the face of the rebellion. The Nationalists sought to overthrow the Republic and establish a military dictatorship. Their cause was supported by international fascist regimes, including Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy. The Republicans. The Republican side was a diverse coalition of left-wing groups, including communists, socialists, anarchists, and liberals. While united in their opposition to Franco's fascism, the Republicans were ideologically fractured, with different factions often fighting for control within the movement. They were supported by the Soviet Union and international volunteers who came to Spain to fight against fascism, including the International Brigades, a collection of foreign fighters sympathetic to the Republican cause. The Spanish Civil War quickly took on an international dimension. Although it was primarily a Spanish conflict, foreign powers saw it as an opportunity to test their ideologies and military strategies ahead of a larger confrontation. Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy, both Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini, provided significant military support to Franco's nationalists. Germany sent troops, aircraft, and weapons, including the Condor Legion, which would become infamous for its role in the bombing of Guernica, a Republican stronghold. The bombing of Guernica, immortalized by Pablo Picasso's famous painting, was one of the first instances of total war against civilians and demonstrated the brutality of modern warfare. Italy, under Mussolini, sent tens of thousands of soldiers, aircraft, and tanks to assist Franco's forces. Soviet Union. The Soviet Union, led by Joseph Stalin, supported the Republicans, providing weapons, tanks, aircraft, and military advisors. However, Stalin's involvement was driven by self-interest. He feared the rise of fascism, but was also suspicious of the anarchist and Trotskyist elements within the Republican camp. As a result, Stalin's influence led to internal purges within the Republican ranks, weakening their cause. Western democracies. France, the United Kingdom, and the United States largely remained neutral during the Spanish Civil War. The Non-Intervention Agreement was signed by 27 countries, including France and Britain, in an effort to prevent the conflict from escalating into a broader war. However, this neutrality was criticized, as it effectively denied the Republic the military aid it desperately needed. Despite this, many individuals from Western democracies volunteered to fight for the Republican side through organizations like the International Brigades. Notable figures like George Orwell and Ernest Hemingway were among those who came to Spain to report on or fight in the conflict. The war was marked by brutal fighting, atrocities committed by both sides, and significant civilian casualties. The conflict raged across Spain, with cities like Madrid, Barcelona, and Seville witnessing intense combat. The Nationalists, with their superior military organization and foreign support, steadily gained ground against the Republicans. One of the most significant battles of the war was the Siege of Madrid. Franco's forces attempted to take the Republican stronghold of Madrid early in the conflict, but were repelled by determined resistance. Despite this, the Nationalists continued their advance in other parts of Spain, capturing Seville, Granada, and Toledo. As the war dragged on, the Republican forces became increasingly divided. Internal conflicts between communists, anarchists, and socialists weakened the Republican cause, leading to infighting and purges. The anarchist stronghold in Catalonia, for example, was overrun by communist forces loyal to Stalin, further fracturing the Republican coalition. By early 1939, the Nationalists had gained control of much of Spain. The Republican forces, exhausted and disorganized, were unable to mount a successful defense. On March 28, 1939, Franco's forces entered Madrid, effectively ending the Spanish Civil War. The Spanish Civil War resulted in the deaths of an estimated 500,000 people, including many civilians who were caught in the crossfire or executed in political purges. The war left Spain devastated, with cities and infrastructure in ruins. In the aftermath of the conflict, Francisco Franco established a fascist dictatorship that would last until his death in 1975. His regime was marked by political repression, censorship, and the execution of tens of thousands of political opponents. Spain remained neutral during World War II, but maintained close ties with Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy. The Spanish Civil War also served as a testing ground for new military tactics and technologies that would later be used in World War II. The bombing of civilian targets, the use of mechanized warfare, and the involvement of foreign powers in a civil conflict all foreshadowed the horrors of the larger global conflict to come.